Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?
Hey, everyone in, let's go. Huddle up on 3. 1, 2, 3, huddle up.
No one, and I mean no one, comes into our house and pushes us around. This is your game now, gentlemen.
Two minutes to go, and a puck up Dan Holtby watching a bad bounce out of the corner, and a shot and a save made by Braden Holtby. Oh my! As Alex Tuck was robbed on a puck that came bouncing out of the corner, and Washington by a whisker. Still on top with 1:59 to go. My goodness, Braden Holtby. Off the face-off, the Capitals have won it. The capital of the country is the capital of the hockey playoffs.
Many doubted we'd ever see it. But here it is. The return to glory.
And now, welcome everyone to the Huddle Up Podcast.
We did it our way, baby! We did it! We did it! We did it!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Huddle Up Podcast, live here on our Facebook page, as well as our Twitter and YouTube channel. If you are joining us live here in the video, interact with us throughout the night. Leave a comment. Make sure you give the video a like and a share. We'd appreciate that. And as always, we thank you for joining us. The overlay here looks a little bit different. I'm going to play around with it, but again, thank you to Anthony DiStefano for the new logo and the new look. We appreciate him and the new branding of this show, and we are glad to be with you on a Tuesday night. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media and all of our channels, as well as our home network, NGSC Sports, at ngscsports.com, and of course, the sponsor of NGSC Sports is Arena Eats. Make sure you check them out, arenaeats.app, for all the info on Arena Eats. We are glad to have Sean and Dave back with us. Sean, how you doing this week, buddy?
Well, we're rocking and rolling. Another beautiful night in the Tampa Bay. Nice, cool weather. Just thought I'd fill everybody in. Just another smooth 70 to 80s kind of day. Obviously in center of the sports world, just excited to be watching. Excited for the new microphone, courtesy of Jake from Louisville. My buddy that lives here in St. Pete from Louisville, not Louisville. It is Louisville. And I didn't even get the in there. I'm still pronouncing it wrong. But either way, great find on the mic to Jake.
And Dave back with us. Dave, how you doing?
Doing good. It's nice to have a football team that's over 500. I'll just leave it at that.
Hey, Notre Dame's over 500.
I said a football team.
At least my college team is playing right now currently. So
Well, my college team changes week to week depending on what monetary purposes are needed.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. Can't argue with you much on that one. All right. Obviously, this past week, we saw the return of Alex Smith to the lineup after almost 2 years after the horrific leg injury that he suffered against the Houston Texans. And it really kind of like brought up the question to me, has there ever been like a more miraculous return than what Alex Smith did by being able to return to sports? And like I was trying to think of any, and to be 100% honest, like I honestly could not come up with any. It just, and after seeing all of the like all of the documentary footage and the pictures and things of what his leg looked like not only was it that he may never play football again. I mean, this guy literally could have lost his life. I mean, it was horrific what he went through. Like I can't even fathom, half or a small percentage of what Alex Smith went through to get back. So Sean, I'll throw the question to you. Like, can you think of an injury that somebody came back from that was more miraculous than Alex Smith?
I mean, I think they're all different. I don't know that anybody's ever been, more miraculous based on the condition he had been in. Obviously you talk about Tiger Woods, who fought for a long time to overcome back issues, things like that. None of those injuries were near as bad. Obviously you have the story of Oscar Lindblom this year and various other athletes that have overcome cancer to play again and things like that. Those are, I feel they're very different. And normally when you have a horrific injury and a chance to come back like this, whether it be ACL, knee, there's a lot of real bad ones. But this one, I mean, with the infection was pretty bad. And I mean, just to see him on a roster was miraculous enough. I don't think you're going to see anything as kind of under the radar heroic, because the other ones were all more primarily televised. I think this was just an under the radar heroic, being that it's a guy late in his career that may not, kind of have that return to glory, so to speak. But, he and his family, just to be out there, super excited. Very proud of Alex Smith this week.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, he was started the year on the active roster. He was the third string, and then Dwayne Haskins, was benched. Then we found out on Sunday he wasn't even in the building. Kyle Allen, the starter. Dwayne Haskins not in the building. Was reportedly a stomach illness of some sort. And then Kyle Allen gets hit real hard there at the sideline, and all of a sudden Alex Smith not only is the backup quarterback, but goes into action. And when you said Lindblom, Sean, immediately I thought of Mario Lemieux.
Well, sure.
Was obviously another one, with the cancer and things like that. So, that one may rank up there. That was one that kind of had slipped my mind. Dave, can you think of any? Does any come to your mind?
Yeah, Lemieux was the one that I had just from a pure cancer kind of aspect. But, I think it's kind of, I don't want to say it's kind of different, cancer versus an in-game injury. An in-game injury, I don't know that there's much more of a significant one that's happened, recent memory at least, and kind of come back from. But, I echo everything you guys have said, that real happy to see him make it the whole way back, and not just one of these that you rehab in your career minor league type of guy like you see in baseball sometimes with the pitchers and the Tommy John and things along those lines. But happy to see him make it the whole way back without a doubt.
Yeah, and I mean, one that we will obviously touch on the ramifications of later in the show with our NFL Big Four, but it's this kind of, and it's kind of why I titled the episode what I did, Sports Giveth, Sports Taketh, because a couple of hours after the return of Alex Smith, we see the horrific injury to Dak Prescott and the implications that'll have on the Cowboys. And it's just a reminder of just how quick things can change in the NFL and in any sport. So kind of in this same idea, in this same area of conversation, I've seen a lot of reaction to the Dak injury, like this is why he should have signed the long-term deal. And for me as a Cowboys fan, like do I now obviously wish for him that they were able to get the deal done and he wouldn't have been a franchise tag this year. Absolutely. I wish, he would have they would have been able to get it done even without the injury. You never want especially with that position for it to be, just kind of looming over your head like that. But, for me, I also look at the fact that like Dak Prescott was willing to bet on himself, and these guys don't make those decisions without understanding the risk of injury, the risk of potentially something like this happening, and what impact it'll have on his contract moving forward, his stance with the Cowboys. That all remains to be seen. And it's successful surgery, expected time out about 4 to 6 months. So he should be ready to go for the season next year, barring any complications. Obviously, we wish him the best, but with the situation with Dak Prescott, it just shows just how quick things can happen in the National Football League.
Well, yeah, it was very fast. It was like you said, it was almost like within it felt like minutes from the Alex Smith glory to that. I didn't even obviously it was the next slate of games, but yeah, it's not something you want to see. And of course, kind of being in that Philly area and following a lot of Philly groups. Unfortunately, you get the groups of fans and you get the guys that are gonna celebrate or praise when that kind of thing happens, and there's no way to stop it. I mean, they can feel how they want to feel, but I have no room in my heart or my head for that kind of choice. Obviously, am I glad to see any opportunity the Eagles have to be in first place or to be near first place? Sure. Do I want it to be at the expense of somebody in the situation that he's in? No. That is not something anybody should wish on anyone in any situation, especially a guy. And the one thing that I brought up, I think, in a conversation to you earlier in the week, James, is the interesting thing is him opting to not take the contract that was offered to him and to test it for a year and to prove his worth makes the situation all the more interesting in that he doesn't have the guaranteed money after this year. There's no long-term deals locked up. So he's going to have to rely on either Dallas or a free agent market, maybe take another shorter deal or a tag again. So even the long-term ramifications for him beyond just recovering from this become very, very interesting.
Yeah, and I know Jerry Jones in his comments on Monday said that and even Stephen Jones said it, that their plan for the future still has Dak in it. So what that'll mean number wise and
right.
whatever will remain to be seen. For me, it's not something that needs to really be talked about right now. Obviously, in the short term, the priority is for him to stay healthy and avoid any complications. And for the first couple of days, it looks like that has been the case so far. Dave, any thoughts?
Yeah, so I think you guys covered it pretty well again. But number one, story, you never want to hear Dak get hurt or anyone along those lines get hurt. But you gotta. I don't want to back Jerry Jones here, but this is also a business aspect too. That some of the numbers that Dak was rumored to be asking for were pretty astronomical, given the guy's skill level. I mean, he's not going to get Patrick Mahomes money. He never should. Now, again, is he a top 10 quarterback? That remains to be seen. Is he as a top 20 quarterback? I mean, who knows? You probably got to put him in the top 20. But the other piece going along with this, too, is it's going to be interesting to see how this really shapes the Cowboys going forward. And I think it's a good thing. Not that Dak got hurt. Let's not dwell on that. But I think it's going to force the Cowboys to give the ball to Zeke a lot more, which is something that they needed to do and they had gotten away from earlier in the year, which is going to, kind of put the horse to work, for lack of better terms. And again, it's a shame that it had to happen with Dak being the cause of it and his ankle, getting severed, for lack of better terms. But, it's going to be a interesting scheme change for the Cowboys. And, I bet as a Cowboys fan, you're pretty happy they went out and signed Dalton too.
Yeah, I mean, I never hoped that he would have ended up being our starter, but if you're gonna be in that situation, you could probably do a lot worse. And we've seen a lot of teams end up a lot worse. And the craziest thing, if you have the stomach to watch the video of Dak's injury again, the first thing he tries to do is bang his ankle or his shoe or what. I don't know exactly what he at that moment, if you were just kind of in shock and you thought, oh, maybe my shoe's just off. But if you want, he tries to bang something back in place. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I gathered he thought that the flopping or the whatever was happening with the full fracture. It really looked like he thought it was equipment, with the momentum and everything that happened and the immediate feeling loss. He had no idea that was his foot flopping.
No, it was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. And, but yeah. Well, and for the Cowboys, you bring up a great point. They're going to have to lean on Zeke more, but part of the problem with that is their offensive line is just in complete disarray right now. That's why Dak Prescott, after the first 4 weeks of the season, was on pace to pass for 6,700 yards this year, which is just a ridiculous number because I think what Peyton Manning's single season record is 53, 54. Like he was ready, he was going to explode that record. I don't think you're going to have a lot of success if you're expecting Andy Dalton to put up that many yards, but we'll talk about the Cowboys here in just a little bit. Let's continue though with the NFL. And there is a game going on right now, and because of the NFL's ongoing issues with the coronavirus, Tennessee leading Buffalo 21-10 in the third quarter. So we've seen this over the last couple of weeks. We've seen games had to have been adjusted and things like that because of positive COVID cases with especially the Titans, but some other teams as well. And now the NFL has had to make some significant changes to the season schedule. This was from Sunday. The league released a series of scheduling changes. The Broncos Patriots have obviously moved from last week to this upcoming week. 7 other games were affected by the postponement. Chiefs and Buffalo from week 6 moves to Monday, October 19th. That was supposed to be Thursday night, so that's still within next week. The Jets Dolphins game from week 10 to week 6. The Jets Chargers move from week 6 to week 11. Jaguars at Chargers moves from week 8 to week 7. Chargers Broncos from week 11 to week 8. Chargers Dolphins from week 7 to week 10, and Dolphins Broncos from week 6 to week 11. As a result, 6 teams will now have different bye weeks. And if you want the full release on that, we did post it on our social media, both Facebook and Twitter on Sunday. And I think after all of this shakes out, I think by week 8, I think I saw like 18 teams or something in the league will have had their bye, which is not normal if you're keeping track at home. So for now, at least with the Titans getting back on the field and most teams having no cases or very minimal, it appears that the NFL has kind of dodged the bullet for now. But as we've seen with this drastic of a change that the NFL implemented this past week and the number of bye weeks and things like that. Now I know it was released that they have a potential for a week 18 if it would come in place, but that is like a last ditch option. But I think that the clear message here right now is the NFL's kind of running out of options. Like this was kind of a 11th hour Hail Mary. We're going to make all of these changes, but teams now really, even more than they have up to this point, have to really buckle down and get their stuff under control, because you're not going to have the ability for very much longer to make a wholesale move like they did this week.
Yeah, I mean it's an issue of like you said, last hour, but that concept of time. I mean, it's just I was just kind of discussing it before any of those changes happened this week. With the moving of games to Tuesday and stuff, I said, the Steelers. I was talking to a Steelers fan watching the games this weekend, and he's like real adamant. Him and his buddies were furious because the Steelers they thought got screwed. Kind of by all the cases. They wind up with a bye week earlier than possibly ever in the NFL, and they went from a kind of perfect spot mid-season bye week to having to take it now. And you're seeing other teams have to do the same. So I think the quicker they get moved up, the better to make it more fair. But you're going to run out of bye weeks, So I mean, I think at this point you got to start planning a plan C, D. Try to have something in place that if it goes down past bye weeks, you got to have a way to do it. Is it going to be a second bye week? I think if you're going to do something as extreme as forfeiture or something like that, then it has to be, you have to let them know ahead of time. Like you got to let teams know if you're, past this date on the calendar, anything like this is considered a forfeit. Please plan accordingly. then teams need some kind of notice to fully get that in place, even though they probably should have already done that already.
Well, and then if you're the Broncos, you go from practicing for the Patriots, to being told this is now your bye week. You're playing next week. Well, typically,
also you still have to play the Patriots later,
right? Like, and typically on a bye week, they don't practice.
No,
it is literally that is a week off for guys to rest up and just kind of take a week away from football. The Broncos don't have that anymore because
and the team they're playing will now most likely have a very different quarterback scenario come the time that you do play them.
Yeah, absolutely. Because
where you'll be playing against a Cam Newton instead of a Brian Hoyer or the Rook. So very different scenario, very different preparation. Basically, a whole week of prep is shot. Because you're preparing for essentially a whole different offense.
Yeah, it sucks, Dave.
Not to mention that the NFL is going to go after Denver for an illegal bye week practice procedure or something then too. Just going along with all the nonsense. But
you got to make the money, bud.
That's exactly it. But I think you got a couple things that are going to come down the pike here from Dave's point of view. I think week 18, I think you're going to need it from the sheer fact that you're going to have some of these teams that are going to be playing 16 straight weeks if they make it into the playoffs with the bye weeks when they were. You also didn't have preseasons. These players are going to need a little bit of a I don't even know if you call it recuperation or something along those lines, but then the pure just scheduling madness is going to have to happen here because it's going to come down again. Some of these NFL players are just too they're not about the team. It's all about me. And you talk about that Dingleberry in New England that started the whole thing with New England. So just that type of stuff. I think you're going to have another outbreak, and you just have too much travel involved. I mean, we all discussed it. That's why the bubble really worked, is that the travel wasn't there. There's just too many additional points of contact. But at the same point in time, I think I don't know about you guys, but I'm loving this NFL on a Tuesday night, 2 Monday night games. I could get into this being old habit. Get rid of the Thursday night games and let's go Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I can deal with this, and then move a team around or whatever you have to do. But I think they're going to have to get pretty creative with some scheduling and some other things here to get the full season in, which I do think that they're going to do. They're going to find a way. Like we've said, there's just too much money involved, but it's going to be interesting to see what they do when the next wave kind of creeps up. And I've seen a lot of talk that if the Titans violate a protocol or the Patriots did or something along those lines, instead of fining them, make them forfeit the next time you have to do the schedule. But again, I agree with what you guys said, that if you're going to make that a penalty, you got to come out and state that now. So, but there's going to be a juggling act without a doubt.
Well, yeah, and I think, we've kind of talked about it. Even back to our season previews is you're either going to have to make that choice. It's either going to become a forfeit or it's going to become it's going to become a situation of, kind of pausing the season for a week or two and just shifting everything back. So instead of the Super Bowl being the first weekend in February, it ends up being the third week in February. Like those are the only other options besides, having to cancel everything, which the deeper you get into the year, the deeper that money pool runs and the less likely that option becomes. But guys, we have a little bit of breaking news here tonight.
Breaking news.
A statement from New York Jets general manager Joe Douglas. After having conversations with Le'Veon Bell and his agent and exploring potential trade options over the past couple of days, we have made the decision to release him. The Jets organization appreciates Le'Veon's efforts during his time here, and we know he worked hard to make significant contributions to this team. We believe this decision is in the best interest of both parties and wish him future success. So Le'Veon Bell released by the New York Jets here on a Tuesday night. How about that? Breaking news on a Tuesday night. But yeah, it's this whole COVID situation is like you said, Dave. There's no way that the league's going to get through the remaining 12 weeks of the regular season and playoffs without another issue. I did see earlier today that they're exploring potentially having some sort of a bubble in place for the postseason. So, with I think LA, maybe Dallas as potential options, which as we've seen in other sports, baseball included, But basketball and NHL, the biggest success stories when it comes to bubbles, they work because you isolate, and if you don't let anybody in, you don't let anybody out, then you're not going to have any problems. So that's definitely something that we're going to keep our eye on as well.
7-1 on the Jets to go 0-16, looking pretty better.
Yeah, that's feels like a safe bet as long as they keep Adam Gase as head coach.
Beat the fucking Patriots somehow.
Now that was that's all assuming that Le'Veon Bell was going to help them go 1-15. Like, was he going to win a game in that situation? I don't know.
It's not hurting at all. I mean, it's not hurting.
And Scott asks here, he says, who signs Bell? As he was just cut. Yeah, we just broke the news. I mean, right now, I don't necessarily see anybody who particularly needs him. But I mean, Monday night or Sunday night we saw a situation where Dalvin Cook took a step and got hurt. Was able to come back. So he was able to avoid any serious issue there. I think it's going to come down to situations like that. If a guy gets hurt, then by all means, you're gonna institute people somewhere. But right now, I can't think of anybody that particularly needs him. Sean, do you? Dave, do you?
Well, I mean, the big thing is a lot of the run-heavy teams that utilize one tailback in particular have done a really good job of having that plan B in place. Obviously, in the Minnesota scenario, you got Madison, who just plugged right in and is probably going to this coming week. It looks like will just be the A. So I don't really see a lot of teams that would, if there was a team that really, really needed him or wanted him, the Jets' asking price could not have been that high. So you would think that if there was a team chomping at the bit to maybe get him and they were calling around to other managers, someone would have come forward with the offer. But if I was going to pick some play, like right off the top of my head, you have a very struggling Kenyon Drake in Arizona. Edmonds looks really good, but he's small. You kind of question the durability issues. Bell's probably going to wander into a committee situation anyway. I feel like being a first 2 or 3 down back, occasional 3 down back, usually 2 down back in Arizona is a legitimate possibility. Otherwise, I think you're waiting for an injury. Indianapolis came to mind right away, but the rookie's looking real good, and I don't know that they're really going to shake anything up unless it's going to be cheap. But at this point, he may be waiting for that next big injury or situation to go on.
The Chargers.
Yeah, you could. I just don't know how he's a good pass catcher, and I thought of that. But they have 2, I don't want to say clones of Eckler in that offense, but between Kelly and Jackson, I think you kind of fill the role pretty well. And I don't know that Eckler's going to miss that much time. I know they put him on the IR, but I think you're only looking at a couple of weeks is at least what the initial situation looked like. Yeah, and this year, again, with the IR, you can get a guy back 3 weeks. It's not the 8-week or full season. Right. Scotty says Raiders could have a good 1-2 punch with Jacobs and Bell, potentially. And I think maybe for a guy like Bell, too, does he want money? Does he want to be a starter? Or does he want to go to a place that could potentially be, a winning team as well and make a deep playoff run? So, all of that kind of comes into question. And he also asks, how does Gase still have a job? Does he have something on management like many people thought Marvin Lewis did? Certainly possible, because, that guy just looks to be completely outclassed and all of that. I
think the Jets have outsmarted us all by keeping Gase, because it means they're going to automatically tank for Trevor, and then they can say it wasn't by plan. It was just our coach, and he takes the fall.
He just stinks, right? Yeah, the fact that I'm with Scott, the fact that breaking news happened involving the New York Jets and it didn't involve Adam Gase getting fired might be the big surprise for my entire week. Like, it's all downhill from here as far as surprise. I did not see the Le'Veon Bell being the announcement from the New York Jets.
Yeah, certainly not. All right, guys, we're going to pause here for a commercial break and pay some of the bills here. And we'll be back on the other side predicting some games, both in college and the NFL, checking on the NBA, Major League Baseball, and much more. Stick with us on the other side. Huddle Up Podcast Live.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order? You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis on all things sports. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, subscribe to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports, and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop. Welcome back to Huddle Up Podcast, live here, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. On a Tuesday night with you. There's some live NFL, but we are live with you. Here's a stat. Le'Veon Bell made $28 million in 18 games with the New York Jets. $28 million in 18 games. And for the record, I don't think they didn't go 18-0 in those 28 games either, by the way.
Did he play in 18 games, or he was just a Jet for 18 games?
He was a Jet for 18 games. Because he held out in Pittsburgh. I mean, I think he was in the lineup. I don't recall him getting injured anywhere, but my God, $28 million in 18 games with the New York Jets. Maybe there's a reason why the Jets suck. Let's just say that as well. If you're following along live with us, give us a like, give a share. We'd appreciate that. Jumping in here, 4 games on the NFL slate to predict for Week 6. The Raiders, Patriots, Saints, and Seahawks. No, Patriots aren't on a bye anymore. That's right. I forgot to get my update after the juggling. But let's start on Sunday, 1:00 CBS. The 4-1 Browns are at the 4-0 Steelers, who are a 4.5 points home favorite. Over under on this one is 50. This one should really, I think, be probably the game of the weekend. And I feel like if we were in the flex period, this is a game that could have easily been moved to Sunday night. Because obviously the Browns have appeared anyway to finally have figured out how to be a winning football team. The Steelers obviously looking good, 4-0 for the first time since Terry Bradshaw was their quarterback. And by the way, if you have not seen the reality show, the Bradshaw Bunch on the USA Network, it is an entertaining half hour. If you get a little bored. But the Steelers have had that success against teams, I think, with a combined record of like 3-15-1. So you got to kind of be careful either way. I'm going to take the Browns to cover the 4.5, but I think the Steelers win on the last second field goal. I will go over though. I feel like the Steelers with this with Big Ben's new favorite toy, Chase Claypool, and the Browns offense moving the ball pretty well. I'll take the over, but the Browns cover the 4.5. Steelers win by a field goal. Sean,
I'm going to take. I'm going to go a little bit different. I still don't know whether to buy the Browns. I mean, I picked against them last week. They won again. I thought the Indianapolis defense was going to handle that a lot better. I thought they were, and I still think they played a good game. I think both teams played a pretty competitive display there. But I also wasn't sure what to think of Pittsburgh. Coming off their strange bye and having had kind of a questionable slate of games leading into the Eagles. I thought it was a potential trap game for them, and kind of one of those like hey, how the heck did we win that one? Turns out no. I do think, they kind of let the Eagles show that they are vulnerable in spots. You kind of had a practice squad finding holes in the defense there for a while. Fulgham, 10 catches, 150 yards and a score. So,
ridiculous.
Also, he was a candidate for fantasy irrelevant touchdown of the week. Didn't win, though. We'll get to it later. Anyway, but I'm going to take Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh is more real than Cleveland is. So I'm going to take Pittsburgh to cover. I'm also going to take the over just like you. I think both offenses are just good enough, and the defenses are good enough that if a big play is made, it could result in 6 anyway. So I'm going to take the over in Pittsburgh.
All right, very good. Dave?
Yes, I'm going to go Cleveland straight up here, beating Pittsburgh. Cleveland is for real this year. They have tweaked the offense finally to cater what Baker Mayfield does well, which is not very much, but he still does enough well to get by a couple of the games here, and there's enough offensive talent there. Plus, I think that he's going to be able to keep it short and get the ball in the wide receiver's hands who can make the plays. The other piece on the flip side of the ball, I think Myles Garrett is just absolutely going to on a freaking unbelievable tear right now, and he's just going to eat all game in the backfield there and really disrupt anything that Ben tries to do. I think Steelers' weakness is on their offensive line. I think that Cleveland's really going to be able to exploit that, which is going to put them under a ton of pressure. And I think that you're going to see, I don't want to call it a defensive battle, but I think it's going to be some more long and monotonous drives, the clock running, and versus your incompletion. So this game, I think, leans towards the under as well. So I'm going to go Browns straight up and the under. And I think this Browns team is for real. I thought they were for real for a couple weeks. So maybe I'm still crazy, but
you are.
We're on the pile of shit.
Yeah, also, I thought the Browns were going to be real for a couple of years. Wrong every time. So I quit. I quit.
When you hop off the train, it's time to get on the train.
I guess so.
When everyone hops off the train.
Also, if you want to get really drunk on Sunday, take a shot every time they talk about Myles Garrett using his helmet.
Oh, yeah.
Last year against Mason Rudolph.
2 shots if they show the clip.
Yeah. It'll be a quick and easy drunk.
It'll be a quick death.
You know what's going to make it to opening kickoff.
Just an update from that Tuesday night game. We had an interception by the Tennessee Titans inside the 15. Looked like the Bills were going to hold them to a field goal to keep it within 2 touchdowns, but in Buffalo fashion, roughed the passer, 1st and goal, and Jonnu Smith with the touchdown reception. Your score.
Things suck.
So your score currently 28-10. We approach the end of the 3rd quarter.
Sweating this damn under, no fun.
Here's another ridiculous Le'Veon Bell stat. March 2019, the Jets signed Le'Veon Bell to a $52 million deal. Of course, tonight they release him. Le'Veon Bell's totals as a Jet: 4 total touchdowns, 863 rushing yards.
4 touchdowns. What was his total salary?
$52 million.
And 4 touchdowns?
4 touchdowns.
Almost $15 million a touchdown?
Yeah. Sounds like a great deal if you're Le'Veon Bell.
Not bad. Guy basically sat on an armchair for a couple of years, made a smooth $50 million.
My God.
Not too shabby.
Good for him.
Hey, way to go.
All right,
so before we hop on here, Jim,
sure.
Just want to touch on that, but how do we feel about the Titans right now? The Titans and the Bills, the Bills were looking at a forfeit here a couple of days ago potentially, and now they're going to get beat probably. So just kind of an the ultimate swing here with everything that we're talking about in 2020. But they've been in limbo here for this a full week on these games, and now you're going from there was talk of forfeiting heavy on what was that, Thursday probably, and now you're talking that you're going to get an actual loss on it. So kind of quite the emotional swing here.
Well, and they were talking about with the Bills, they had to prepare for the Titans, but they also had to prepare for a potential Thursday night against Kansas City because if the Titans weren't able to play tonight, just 2 days from now, they're going to play Kansas City. So I don't know if that plays into maybe a little bit of the Bills' troubles today as well. But yeah, I mean, they were looking at that moving to 5-0 with the forfeit win, and now they're looking at potentially 4-1. And Bill Belichick has to be licking his chop tonight, seeing a team in that division get a loss in the column.
Well, yeah, and it's been a hot mess with Tennessee the entire way, where it's been like, possible breach of protocol. you have all these strange scenarios. No one seems to be in a rush to finish that investigation. Not to mention the fact that, this is 2 or 3 straight weeks where it's like, are they playing? Aren't they playing? Is it a forfeit? Is it not a forfeit? And nobody seems to know. I think this, to me, Buffalo needs, if I'm Buffalo, I'm raising a stink this week for sure. This is going to be the one where, if the loss stands, fine. But the league, in some way or another, whatever they collect in sanctions from Tennessee, if I'm Buffalo, I want some of it. I don't know how I get it. I don't know what the repercussion, the reparations are for this kind of loss. But I mean, like you said, theoretically, this could be 2 in a row, including one to a division opponent that you're currently in a battle in first place for. Obviously a strange scenario. So, I don't see a lot of reason that. I mean, I guess I understand why you play the game. Obviously you got to get the games in. You don't want to really mess your schedule up anymore. But I think at this point with Tennessee, anything else has to be a forfeit or anything because you have derailed and now you have none. I'd lock everybody in a room.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not going to be the laughing stock of this pandemic.
Yeah, and you don't want to be the team that's the reason that brings the season down either. So
no,
and the Titans were almost that. All right.
Yeah, forfeit 12 games, you still win 4 more than the Jets.
That's
true.
That is 100% accurate. All right, the Packers 4-0. They travel to the 3-2 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are a 1-point home favorite. 51.5 is the number of this one. 425 on Fox. I don't know how the Buccaneers are a favorite against this Packers team. I think this Packers team is really good. I apologize for every bad thing I said about this Packers team and about Aaron Rodgers on our prediction show. So I am taking the Packers to both obviously win outright and beat the spread on this one. I'm taking the over, and you can go ahead and lock this one up.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
Sean, we go to you.
I'm down here in the Tampa Bay. I get a lot of coverage on the Buccaneers, and I have the inside track. And let me tell you, nobody knows what to think. That's the one thing I've learned from all the different angles I've heard. Everything else, nobody really knows. You got half of them in complete panic. Like, we spent all this money, nobody can do anything. We're committing too many penalties. We have the other half of just calm down. It's a Bruce Arians off. You have. It's basically everything you hear in the Northeast is just down here. It's almost like all these sportscasters used to live up there. But anyway, they must have. Otherwise, you would have never picked that career. Anyway, but look, Tampa Bay should be fine. I think that everybody had the book a little high on the NFC South as far as the total number of wins you're going to need to win it. I think my current favorite to win it, I think the way I'm seeing things shake out is probably Carolina. Just because they've shown me they're a lot better than I thought they were going to be. And I know it'd be a smack in the face of Big Jim over there who said they were going to be awful, even with Christian McCaffrey struggling to win a couple games. They're 3-0 without him. He's due back in a couple of weeks, and that defense is playing great. But back to Tampa, they're going to put on a pretty good performance here, I think, offensively. But there's going to be some mistakes to go with it. And I think Green Bay is going to capitalize on that. They've had an extra week to prepare for this thing. So I'm going to agree with Jim's lock on the Green Bay side of things. And I'm going to take the over because I think both offenses are going to come to play.
So you're locking it up?
I am not locking it up. Do not lock this one.
Okay. Well, you said you had agreed on the lock. I'm just
agreeing with you. You've already put a lock on it. There's no room for 2
lock on it. I was just trying to make sure if you were locking it as well along with me.
Sorry, I may have misspoken.
I think you did misspeak a little bit there.
I'm not going to lock.
Dave, go ahead.
Well, it seems like this is one of those games that you feel like it's too easy to bet the Packers, and that the Packers should have a cakewalk in this one. And it seems like an ultimate buy low, sell high spot type of thing. That the Packers are undefeated coming in here, and Tampa is at the bottom of the barrel. No one wants to touch them right now. So based on that pure logic, I'm taking Tampa. They have a little bit. I'd say that they have extra rest coming off the Thursday night game, but they don't because of this whole scheduling snafu type of thing. Taking the Bucs here, I think Brady and the offense is about ready to break out. They've shown bits and pieces of it, but as long as Brady remembers when it's 3rd down and 4th down, I think we'll be okay. to get by the Packers. And since I'm taking the Bucks, I'm going to keep it in true fashion here and take the under since you Stooges went on the over.
All right, then we go to the 2 Monday night games. The Chiefs 4-1. They are a 3.5 point road favorite at the either 5-0 Buffalo Bills, or it looks like the 4-1 Buffalo Bills. 55 is the over under on this one. This one starts at 5:00 on Fox. The Chiefs obviously coming off a loss to the Raiders on Sunday, a little bit of a surprise there. The Chiefs have not looked great through the first 5 games this year. I think that loss kind of caught up to them a little bit. The Bills, it appears if this score holds, will probably be coming off of a loss. So you have 2 teams looking to get up off the mat, and just based off recent history, if I'm going with the team that can right the ship a little bit better, I'm going to go with Andy Reid. I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes, and I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs to win and cover the 3.5. And I think I'm also going to take the over on this one. If the Tennessee Titans can score 28 on these Buffalo Bills, I like the Chiefs to do a little bit more. I think that Buffalo will be able to get back and move the ball a little bit against the Chiefs like the Raiders did. So I kind of like a shootout. So I'll take Chiefs plus and the over in this one. Sean.
Yeah, what'd you say that over-under number is? My numbers aren't refreshing.
I have 55.
Okay. Well, I'm with you. I mean, I think it's kind of a surprise. Both these teams are going to be coming into this one with a loss potentially in the books right before it. I think that's something that really surprised people. I think, if anything, the NFL was super excited to see this get kind of essentially flexed into a Monday night game. But now it's looking a little less exciting. I don't think it's any less exciting. I think both are very good teams. I love Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen is just kind of becoming one of those top echelon quarterbacks way into the top half now. And kind of that, I think he's as much a 2-threat quarterback as Pat Mahomes is. I think he runs probably more often than Pat Mahomes does. Guy's probably Buffalo's leading rusher half the games that they play. Probably. So, having said that, I think the worst thing that could have happened for Buffalo in an attempt to try to kind of surprise the champs here is that Kansas City lost. I think kind of some of those struggles is Kansas City the last few weeks looked like Andy Reid's been doing a lot of tinkering. I've seen a lot of trickery, end arounds, kind of almost flea flickery kind of design plays, and I think he's having fun with a lot of the speed that he has. And why wouldn't you? But I think some of that, the Raiders just kind of caught him on some big plays. I think the defense is going to make some adjustments heading into Buffalo, and I think that I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to just kind of go back to what works. Let's let Pat run the show. Let's run the ball. I think you're going to see Hilaire a lot more than they needed. They're disappointed they didn't get to use him a lot. Good news is he's rested. I like Kansas City to win this one, to win and cover, just take care of everything. But I feel it's going to stay under that number. I feel like both defenses are going to come out just good enough, especially after a loss. I think both defenses are going to be a bit upset at the way they got kind of thrashed around. So I think that number stays under. I'm going to take KC and the under, and you can't lock it up. Don't lock it up.
I'm not locking it up.
Don't lock it up. I did that on purpose to see if you'd hit it.
I locked mine up. I'm not locking yours. Dave, I don't think you've been with us since we do the weekly locks in both the NFL and college. If you have one you want to lock up, let me know. I'll hit it. Dave, the Chiefs and Bills to you.
I'm guessing we're obviously talking about a keyboard there because that's probably the only thing you're hitting. But
that's probably accurate.
Good. Again, I think you guys hit this pretty spot on there. More so Sean than Jim, but the weakness of both teams are being able to stop the run on defense. Both running backs should be live. Your DFS fantasies there and everything else along the lines with your props and everything. But I think you have Buffalo's defense a little bit better coverage in the D-backs than Kansas City is, but Kansas City is obviously way better on offense with the talent and all that. So I think that you're going to have a close one. I think that these are two of the three best teams in the AFC. So I think this game is going to go a long way in deciding playoffs and everything along those lines, seeding-wise and everything. So I think you're getting an all-in effort from both teams. I think Buffalo covers here, covers a 3 and a hook, but I think you're going to get a last-second Kansas City field goal to win, and the game stays under. Like a 27-24, 24-21 type of game.
Who's your third, Dave? Baltimore?
Baltimore. You have to put Baltimore in there with that running back they have trying to throw the pigskin around.
Yeah, he's okay.
He's a great running back. I just don't know why he's a quarterback position.
Yeah, that's another team that hasn't been as crisp as everybody thought they would either. And then finally, we go to the other Monday night game. The 3-2 Cardinals travel to the Andy Dalton-led 2-3 Dallas Cowboys, who are a 3-point home favorite. 53.5 is the number on this one. This one is your normal 8:15 on ESPN. I would love to take my Cowboys in this one, but that Cardinals offense moves the ball real well. They have this really good wide receiver. Maybe you've heard of him, DeAndre Hopkins. And that Cowboys secondary is all sorts of bad. Their scoring defense, all sorts of bad. They have trouble enough getting to the quarterback. They lost a defensive tackle to a season-ending injury, and Kyler Murray's really, really good at not taking sacks. So I like the Cardinals to pick up the win here, and I'm going to take the over because the Cowboys can't stop them. Their only hope is going to be to score more. So I'll take the Cardinals plus and outright win and the over 53.5. Sean.
Yeah, I think you hit a lot of good points there. I think for a lot of teams in a lot of scenarios, if you had an offense clicking as well as theirs were, and you had a guy like Andy Dalton coming in, you'd really have a chance to still, kind of win this game and keep up with some teams. But the trouble is with the defense they've had in place, because you say feed the ball to Ezekiel Elliott all you want. If that defense plays anything like it has been playing, there comes a point where you can't feed a running back.
Yeah.
Unless your hope is to slow the bleeding. Like that's really the only thing you're doing there. So I'm with you on the Cardinals. I think Kyler Murray, coming into this year, I was real high on him. I don't know how high I was on the Cardinals as a record, but that defense has played better than I thought they would. Keep in mind, I'm still going to cut the Cardinals defense in fantasy because, like you said, I think points are going to be kind of flying off both ways. 55 is a tricky number with the Dalton switch. I think if Dak's still the quarterback here, this number is about 8-9 points higher. I think they were going to try to push you into
Big
the 60s.
Number.
It's a weird number because I think Dalton's not afraid to throw downfield.
And it's the best talent.
God, this is by far. And I think they may have snuck that number down due to Dalton. And because of that, I'm going to go with you on the over. I'm going to take both picks right with you. I think that they're banking on Dalton not doing much, and I think he's going to surprise some people, but it's not going to be enough.
All right, very good, Dave.
Man, this is great. I love picking the Cowboys when Jim does it because it just makes that so much sweeter when they lose by 1 point but still cover, so Dave gets paid and Jim's miserable.
Well, I'll never do it.
Beautiful.
So,
why not?
Never. I don't care who Dallas is playing. I won't pick them.
That's fine. I'm all about.
I'll take the L. I'll take the L before
That's
I
fine.
yeah.
Side note: the
MLB I'll gladly be
there,
wrong.
so Dave's happy.
I'll gladly be wrong if the Cowboys beat the Cardinals. I will be wrong every day about it.
I never said that they were winning. I just said that they were going to cover, so I get paid. So just statistical difference there of importance. But I think that the Cowboys are the right side here. I think they're getting 2.5. That number is going to get to 3 by the time it kicks off. Everyone's going to play the Cardinals. No one wants to take a piece of Dallas. So if you like Dallas here, wait. You're going to get your field goal at some point. I think there's too much offensive talent. Regardless, the drop off from Dak to Andy Dalton is not that significant. I mean, you're not talking that it's a touchdown drop off or anything. And I mean, to take this game to Arizona, if you kind of flip it in reverse, you're telling me that Arizona should be 10-point favorites over Dallas. Rough numbers, obviously, but 8 to 10-point favorites over Dallas and Arizona. That's crazy. I mean, this Arizona team lost to Carolina. We'll just leave it at that. That this Arizona team I mean, maybe this game should be a pick, but you're getting a couple extra points here because of the injury. So I'm taking Dallas without a doubt here. Just since Jim didn't pick them, I'll pick them straight up, but no lock or anything along those lines. But I also am going to go with the under here. I think that in order for Dallas to be successful here, that they're going to have to be really conservative, which means you're going to have a lot of short dink and dunk type passes and things along those lines just to get Dalton in some type of rhythm. I think that's going to play into an under and a slower speed. I also think Arizona is going to run the ball a little bit more too. They're going to be able to exploit the Dallas D line and get some success there. So I think that you're going to have this game tend to go towards the under, and it seems like that total is awful low with how many points Dallas has scored and allowed. So generally Vegas knows something. So this is probably like a 42-10 Dallas blowout that just makes absolutely no sense, and everyone's mind just explodes on it. But no one wants to see that, so we won't let that happen.
I mean,
James, just for the record, because Dave went the exact opposite of my picks, and I know he's going to be wrong, you can put a lock on my picks.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
There we go. Sean locked it up. All right, let's move to college football. I have 3 games on the schedule for this weekend. I would have had 4, but Baylor can't get control of their COVID situation. Neither can Florida. Boy, a couple of days after Dan Mullen says, "Yeah, let's have a full stadium of 85,000 people at Florida." They are freezing their football activities today because of 19 positive cases on their football
I thought they were
team.
freezing it because of the condition of that defense.
Well, it could have been that too.
It's like the defense just looked so porous. They were like, we got to stop this.
But and I mean, and it sucks for Florida because you were getting an LSU team that can barely figure out how to get themselves on the field, more or less, getting out and winning a game. So only 3 games, and I'm going to start with Pitt. They are 3-2. They're at number 13, Miami, who I was right. Clemson steamrolled them. They didn't quite catch that over though, just barely under it that I had locked up last week. But Miami 10.5 point home favorite. 52 is the over under on this one at noon on the ACC network this Saturday. I think we're, year after year, people want us to believe in Miami. They want us to believe that Miami's back. They're not. I'm going to take Pitt to cover the 10.5. I think Miami does win this game. And I'm going to take I'll take the under. Sean, go ahead.
All right, well, I'm with you. People want you to buy into Miami. They want you to love them, and they should. Miami's good for college football. However, year in and year out in the state of Pennsylvania and a lot of other places, and maybe I'm more neutral down here in the southern end of the city, up north, everybody wants you to believe in Pitt too. Pitt will have like these seasons where it's like, we're 3-0. Look at us. Whoa. And then they finish like 4-8. Nobody cares. It's don't fall into the pit, I guess, is what I'm telling you to do, because Miami's going to win this one pretty handedly. I haven't seen anything from Pitt against the opponents they've played to show me they can keep up with a top 25 or even top 30 team. I feel like they're going to keep up for maybe a half, and then they're just going to start making mistakes. And I think that Miami's going to run away with this one. What'd you say that over-under number was?
I have it at 52.
Dave likes over. I'll take under just so I don't have the same picks as Dave.
Dave, go ahead.
We're going with the over, no doubt on that one. But we're going to take Miami to light up Pitt here. Derek King should be pretty good at throwing on this Pitt defense. After the first 2 games, you heard this Pitt D is legit. This Pitt D is one of the top linebacking cores in the country, yada, yada, yada. And they got absolutely throttled by Boston College and turned upside down last week. And, I mean, Boston College can't hit their way out of a wet paper bag half the time. So Pitt's D is not that good. They're better than some years, but Derek King's a whole nother level here. And Clemson is the class of college football right now. So to get throttled by them, you generally have a bounce-back game the week after. And it's another one of these that no one wants to touch the stinky chicken in the room. So Miami stinks this week, so we're taking them. Chances are, it's one of those that it's just plug your nose and pick it, but you take the stinky chicken and it helps out winning games here. Miami is going to bounce back, and Derek King's going to go off this week to show the talent that he has.
All right, then we move to Saturday night, 8 o'clock. Boston College 3-1 at 23. Virginia Tech, they are 2-1, 11-point home favorite. 59.5 is the number on this one. This one also on the ACC network. Boston College been moving the ball fairly well with Jervik up there. But Virginia Tech's one of those teams that it's like you keep wanting them to kind of get back to the Beamer Ball days. You don't know what Virginia Tech team's going to show up, but I think defense for Virginia Tech is gonna override here. They're going to win outright. I'm going to take Boston College to cover the 11, but I will also take the under 59.5 on this game on Saturday night. Sean.
Yeah, I mean, if I just made fun of Pitt and said don't fall in the pit, the only quality win Boston College has is a 1-point win against Pitt. Do not fall in this pit either. Despite their half-game lead over Virginia Tech in the conference, believe the number in front of Virginia Tech. That ranked number versus an unranked number is pretty accurate this time. Virginia Tech's going to win this one pretty handedly. I think it's going to be kind of up and down, but I think the defense has come to play in this one primarily because Boston College is going to keep a fairly slow pace on this game. I think they're going to do their best to keep the mistakes at a minimum to try to pull this one off. So I think the score stays under, but I'm going to take Virginia Tech to cover without a doubt. But I don't think it's ever going to hit that 59.
All right, Dave, how about you?
So the one key on this game is how healthy, recovered, whatever you want to call it, is Virginia Tech. They had 15 starters, or not 15, but 15 players out last week, 4 of which were starters with COVID, and how under control is that? And does this game even get played, number one? But, I mean, they just gave up I don't even freaking know how many points to UNC. They're still freaking scoring. But I think UNC had 65 on them last week or something. But I just think that Virginia Tech obviously can score a little bit, but I think that this one's a tough one to really put a pin on what's going to happen right now, given the COVID impact, and you're still on Tuesday night here with the game later in the week. And based on the COVID and everything, you got to take Boston College right now, catching the points and adding to the total. But you got to take the over too, because Virginia Tech can't do much on defense with all their defensive impacts with COVID at the moment. But still a lot of time till you get down on the actual game. But I don't see how Boston College beats Virginia Tech if Virginia Tech's anywhere close to healthy. But given everything going on with COVID, it's a big mystery. But I'll take Virginia Tech at the moment, but subject to change on that. And I freaking love Virginia Tech last week against UNC, and then they're getting ready to kick off, and it's 15 players with COVID. I'm like, you son of a.
Story of the year, man. It is unfortunately just what it's going to be like this year. And then finally, I
got 4.5, and it closed at 3, and it wasn't a winner. That pisses me off.
We obviously moved to the biggest game of the weekend, probably one of the biggest games in college football this season. Number 3, Georgia. They are 3-0. They go to number 2, Alabama, who is also 3-0, a 6-point home favorite. The over/under 56.5. This is the one SEC game on CBS that gets prime time feature, 8 o'clock. For me, similar questions to, is Miami back? Is Pitt for real in Pennsylvania? Is Georgia good enough to beat Alabama? We just saw Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin put up a lot of points on Alabama. Probably one of the worst defensive performances we've seen out of Alabama in the Saban era, maybe. I mean, that was bad. That was very uncharacteristic like Alabama. They were on the road. They come back home. So now the question is, which one of these teams is for real? Are they both for real? Are they both kind of pretenders? I may get egg on my face on this one. I'm taking Georgia outright. They're going to pull the upset. They're going to go into Alabama, and it's a big-time SEC game, so obviously we're taking the over, and you better
lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
You're locking Georgia up.
I'm locking Georgia up.
Look, man, I like everything I've seen from Georgia. I think Georgia is incredibly for real. I think this might be one of the better Georgia teams we've seen in the last few years. I also think it's one of the better running backs we've seen from Georgia in the last few years, and that says a lot. I think they have one of the best fraternity fictional movie names at quarterback I've ever heard in my entire life, in Stetson Bennett. So there's no reason to not like Georgia, except that you're playing against Alabama after a week where they could have, maybe, might have, people thought was going to lose. I think a little bit of that is whether any team wants to tell you or not, in college football especially, where you can't afford to lose a game. When you have a big game following what looks like a mediocre game, you're doing some prep for that next game. And I think it almost cost Nick Saban and the team because I think Ole Miss came to play. It didn't. Everything is fine now. The ship is righted. And I got news for you. With a full week to get ready for Georgia and to finish what they started in the middle of their previous week's prep, I think Georgia's going to put up a heck of a fight, and I think this is going to be a low-scoring game, at least from what we've seen. And I told Big Jim in the middle of the week that I would never take the under in any conference based on what I've seen. I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to take the under here, and I'm going to take Bama, and you can lock that up.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
Dave, what do you got?
He's got no audio. That's what he's got.
I'm too dumb to take the mic off. I'm so excited to talk about this game. Man, this game is going to be freaking the college football game of the year, and I am freaking excited for it. Hey, thanks. We got Stetson Bennett with Georgia. Obviously, he's looked okay. He really hasn't looked all that great. He said the right things, to show the leadership and all that. Georgia, my question and concern with Georgia is, can they really exploit Alabama the way that Lane Kiffin did with his Ole Miss team here? And I don't think that they quite have the offensive weapons. I think that what they do well is running the ball in the trenches, and I think Alabama is going to be able to stop that with their D-line and be able to get pressure on it. And I don't think that Bennett's going to have enough time to exploit the Alabama secondary, which could potentially be a weakness. But this Alabama offense is something that's completely under the radar this year. This offensive team is absolutely loaded with Mac Jones. Mac Jones is a true Heisman contender. Alabama should just be able to freaking run up and down I don't want to say run up and down the field, but they should be able to absolutely move the ball in Georgia at will here, relative to anything that we've seen so far. I mean, Tennessee, I think it was this past week, put up 20-something against Georgia in the first half. But granted, they got goosed in the second half. But, I think that this Alabama team is under the radar for an Alabama team, which is something that we haven't said in how long. Especially if I can get Alabama at less than 6, it's going to be a big play. I think you got a lot of value on Alabama. Saban's pissed off because they almost lost last week. Saban also knows that this is the game for the year for them. This is like the old school Alabama LSU games from a couple years back that pretty much determine who's the 1 seed for the SEC. I think that Alabama wins this by 2+ touchdowns. I think that this game's not going to be close. I think Georgia is really good this year, and I have a Georgia future on 10-1. I got them at, but I think that Alabama and Clemson are just the absolute class of college football right now, and I would love to see the two of them play again. But definitely going with Bama here, and I'm going to go with the over on the moral that I think Alabama's going to put up a ton of points, and I think Georgia's going to get to 17 to 20ish, but I think Bama's going to be well into the 30s on this. So, Jim, you can lock it up that Bama's going to win not only by the spread but by double digits.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
Wow. Here's another Le'Veon Bell. Here's another Le'Veon Bell stat. With the Steelers, 6 years, 1,229 carries, $16 million. With the Jets, the parts of 2 years, 251 carries, $28 million.
Wow.
Well, yeah, it's another wow.
Wow. $35,000 per rushing yard with the Jets. $35K.
Wow.
Just to rake them over the coals, man. Just absolutely
love the wow.
Just absolutely rake them over the coals.
You got to use that sound more.
I should.
Wow. I'm gonna just beg for it at times. Just wow.
All right, let's go quickly here through Major League Baseball. We'll just touch on it. Tampa Bay currently leading What happened?
Tennessee scored, but it's not Jonnu Smith. I needed Jonnu Smith real bad.
Oh.
I don't even need a lot. I just need like 15, 20 yards and a catch out of him, and I got none of it on their last drive. Looks like I'm going to fall 3 points short of my incredible 45-point comeback over Monday and Tuesday nights.
Better get this wrapped up pretty quick.
But Tennessee's gonna do just fine.
Better get this wrapped up quick. We got an under 52 and a hook ticket. I'm about to get pretty pissed off.
Major League Baseball, ALCS, Tampa leading the series 2-1, but currently trailing in the top of the third to the Astros 1-0. The Atlanta Braves leading the NLCS 1-0, and they are currently leading the Dodgers 7-3 in the bottom of the 8th. The Braves, I think, one of the probably the more surprising teams through this postseason. They are yet to lose a game, sweeping the Reds in 2 games. The Marlins, who had never lost a playoff series, 3-0, and now looking to go up 2-0 over the LA Dodgers. So I think a lot of people thought we're going to run away with the National League. So the Braves, a surprising team. And if you've been a fan of baseball for a number of years, you figure that the Braves at some point are going to blow this thing because that's what they've done every year except for one. So, guys, any thoughts on the MLB postseason at this point?
Yeah, I think as far as the Tampa Bay Rays are concerned, I think you better find a way to win today's game. I think if this one goes back to even, I'm not so sure they recover. I picked the Rays like you did to go through, and the more I really started looking at the way the season shook out and the pitching staff's in place and everything else, I would say the Rays are outgunned, but I mean with their payroll, they're outgunned in every series they play. So it's hard to bet against them, but at the same time, I'm going to. I think if the Rays don't find a way to take control of this series today, I think they let it slip away, and I think the Astros are going to take this, which is what I think is probably going to happen. I think I like the Astros to sneak in there, but yeah, the Atlanta Braves early lead there, and you say like, all right, just waiting for them to blow up. You're not going to have to wait very long. I think the Dodgers get control of this series and work their way through, and I think you're going to see a Dodgers Astros World Series.
Gross. I still like the Rays, though. How about you, Dave?
I'd like to see him go. He's more interesting down here. I don't see it happening against the Astros. I like them a lot.
I think the Dodgers really depend on what the Kershaw status is. He got scratched tonight, obviously, but I think that's going to be very. I mean, if he could come back and pitch Game 3, that I don't want to say twist the series, but no matter what happens tonight, you're looking 2-1. Potentially, assuming Kershaw, you have regular season Kershaw and not playoff Kershaw, which is a big if. But I'm going to go with the Braves out west just because Sean didn't pick them. And then whoever Sean didn't pick in the East, I'm taking them as well. If you're going to give me the Rays, I think I'll take the Rays. They have a 2-game.
Yeah, take the Rays. You can have them. I picked them earlier in the season, so I have them either way.
Oh, so you're just
I'm hedging my bets.
You're doing the normal Jim picking both teams in every other episode. So
No. I am leaving the Rays to take the Astros, but usually
I will bang on the trash can and pick up the Rays.
All right, let's real quick look here at the NBA, guys. Of course, the LA Lakers winning the NBA Finals 4-2, giving LeBron James his 4th championship. And anytime LeBron wins a title, it begins to ask the question about his legacy, and the people who like LeBron are gonna champion him. The people who hate LeBron are going to lose their minds because the guy that they love to hate just had another championship season, and then everybody else is kind of in the middle, just going, maybe he's just really good, guys. He doesn't necessarily have to be compared to Jordan. He doesn't have to be compared to all these other people. But, when push comes to shove, the guy is the best NBA player in his generation. He's going to go down as one of the best of all time. And Sean, I know you and I have talked about this, obviously not on the show, but what people fail to realize is because so many people be like, well, he didn't stay in Cleveland to get his titles. He had to go all these other places and go to all this other talent. But the difference, first off, the difference in sports now versus sports then is sports now, you don't have guys that are, necessarily career guys in one city. But also, LeBron wanted Cleveland from the outset to bring in the talent. He never wanted to leave there. They just didn't bring in the talent. He's like, well, I know that people are going to always compare me to Michael Jordan. People are always going to put me in that conversation. And again, they play two different positions too, which I don't think is necessarily fair to either guy. But he understood that he's always going to be compared. So you either bring me the talent in Cleveland or I got to go get it somewhere else. And he got it somewhere else. Then he came back to Cleveland and got them their title. And now went out to LA and got one there. To me, I didn't like the decision when it happened. But the bottom line is, if you look back on it, he's even admitted, I could have done it better. I didn't have to make my decision to play in Miami the way that I did it. He's kind of grown up and matured and realized he didn't have to do it that way. And honestly, I'm from Pennsylvania. I'm not a big NBA guy. It should have no impact on me. He went back to Cleveland, got his win. To me, all those scores were settled anyway. But LeBron's one of the best ever, and he'll go down as one of the best ever. And anybody who tries to tell you otherwise is lying to themselves, and lying to anyone that hears them say that.
You can pass this one to Dave. Let him go second on this one because I'm going to talk for a few minutes.
All right, Dave, go ahead.
It's basketball. I don't really have an opinion, so I'll just concur with whatever you two say.
Perfect.
All right, sounds good. That's perfect.
Sean, go ahead.
Look, the bottom line is people are people who fight against the LeBron crowning or who fight against LeBron being compared. You can't compare him to Kobe. You can't compare him to Michael. You can't compare him, yada, 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 yada. The people like that is, and the major issue is when you came into Michael Jordan and then eventually Kobe Bryant, I feel somehow, I still don't understand why this argument didn't come up when Kobe was getting crowned, because people had no problem crowning him like right next to Michael and being like, this is the same guy. They're the same. All of a sudden, like LeBron comes around, and it's like, well, he couldn't possibly be better. And it's almost like it's too recent. I feel like with the Michael Jordan thing, like, because you try to figure who Michael Jordan was surpassing above the Mount Rushmore to that superhuman level. Like, was it Wilt Chamberlain? Like was it more recent with a Magic Johnson and that Lakers team? Like, I don't think people really know who that Lakers team superstar was. Was it James Worthy? Was it a Kareem? Like, I think for a long time, people just accepted that there were all these juggernauts that like were larger than life and were better than anyone around them. And then they were the reason why teams had multiple titles. And people put Jordan up there with them and then above them, which they should have, because people realized Michael Jordan just can't be stopped no matter what. And when you tell him he can't do it, he does it. And Kobe had a great career too. But like you said, LeBron started in Cleveland. Michael Jordan started in Chicago. Now, but to that point, Chicago hadn't done a whole lot, but they just had gotten a new owner while Michael Jordan was heating up. And he was like, this guy's good enough to build around. And he actually built around him. Without Michael Jordan asking for it, without anyone else, the closest they got was when Michael Jordan made a fight for Phil Jackson at various points in his career. That was like, and late in his career, they made fights and they lost. And it's why Michael Jordan retired. But LeBron James was in Cleveland.
I think you just got a Jonnu Smith touchdown, Sean, by the way.
What happened?
Jonnu Smith just caught a touchdown.
You got to be out of your mind.
No, he just did 41-16.
Jonnu Smith?
Yeah, it's the second touchdown of the game.
If you made that up.
I did not make that up. It's a thing.
Well, it hasn't alerted my phone yet.
Well, why is Dave shaking his head?
I don't know. He's very, very uppity. I was in the middle of a rant.
Dave just lost the under, so Dave angry.
So Dave angry. He agrees.
Dave's pissed.
Jonnu Smith, the greatest tight end in football. The comeback is complete. We will not fall to the basement. We will keep. We did it! All right, anyway, But back to LeBron. Back to LeBron. The big difference is you know, and you and I both know we have someone who's probably not going to listen to this podcast unless we blast his Facebook with it later. Who is adamant about hating LeBron James? Hates him. And I don't know if it's bitterness. I don't know if it's like, man, I should have bet on this guy earlier. I don't know if he cost him a ton of money. Whatever it is, it seems like a personal vendetta. And it's kind of this whole like, well, Kobe did it the right way and Kobe did it this way. Let me tell you this. If LeBron James had stayed in Cleveland or even went to Miami and was like, you know what, I made a mistake, I'm going back, there is no way the supporting cast that arrived like a cavalry in Los Angeles for Kobe Bryant's career, the Shaquille O'Neals, the Robert Ory's, the guys that like helped him out in the playoffs. And does Kobe need the help? Probably not. And I'm not going to take anything away from Kobe's career. He was one of the most fun players I've ever watched. He was one of the best human beings that I can remember coming out of the NBA in a long time. There's no reason to make fun of Kobe Bryant. However, to say that LeBron has no business being compared to him because he had to go seek out titles, I got news for you. If Kobe Bryant had been drafted by Cleveland, he either wouldn't have a title or he would have had to seek one out. That city wasn't going to try anything. And I'm starting to learn that in the city of Philadelphia, we'll pretend to seek one out. And right now we're probably as close. We're on that cusp where either we're going to or we're going to fall back into the abyss that we've been in for so long. And we'll talk about how we got so close like we did with Allen Iverson. So for LeBron James to have to go do it, if nobody judged players by their titles, he wouldn't have had to.
Right.
Could have stayed in Cleveland, probably still would have led the league in scoring and probably rebounds and been third in steals and done what he does in Cleveland with no supporting cast and made a ton more money because they'd have been like, we'll just pay him. We don't need anyone else. He could have made more money in Cleveland, and I'll stick by that argument, than he did in his career. Now, did the championships help with the endorsements and the whatever $1 billion advertising? Sure. But, say what you want to. The man's been in 10 NBA finals.
That's a lot, by the way.
Yeah, and I don't know the exact – I didn't look at how many he missed, but I'm pretty sure it's like 10 out of 12. Does that sound right?
Approximately, yeah.
Approximately 10 out of 12. So Kobe Bryant didn't play in 10. Michael Jordan didn't play in 10. Did they win a higher percentage? Sure. Did they win a higher percentage with better teams? Like, by the end of Michael Jordan's 6, would you have bet against the Bulls in the finals? No. Were people betting against the Lakers in this year's finals? Yes. Were people betting against Cleveland, against Golden State? Yes. Like, the finals he won, he wasn't even always the favorite, and he was by far, in my opinion, the best player in those finals. And there's no one that's going to take LeBron James off of my personal Mount Rushmore, and I don't even necessarily like the guy as an individual either.
Like, here's the thing. I think the biggest the problem that people have with LeBron James, it always goes back to the decision. It always does.
Yeah. And you know darn well the decision was pushed to him by ESPN and by everyone else as much as it was his own choice. Like, was it ultimately his choice? Yeah. Yeah, it was. But if somebody's dangling like a primetime slot to make your announcement and it's larger than life, like it was essentially the basketball free agency equivalent of like a Triple H WrestleMania entrance. Like pyrotechnics.
Like Triple H, The Rock, and Stone Cold Steve Austin all rolled.
Yeah, in like a triple tag match coming in. Like,
shut up and take
no one's going to turn that down. How old was he at the time? Like 20.
Yeah, it was only after a couple of years in Cleveland.
Right. I don't know what the biggest mistake of my life is, but it probably happened between 20 and 23. I'm going to be willing to bet if you polled 1,000 people and had them pinpoint the largest mistake in their life, it would be some point between those 3 or 4 years. And so for LeBron James to get continually criticized for like a PR decision versus a basketball, like
it wasn't a personal decision. It wasn't.
No.
It wasn't something he said. It wasn't something he tweeted.
It's the whole shebang.
Yeah. Like, and again, go back to when you were, college age or just out of college. You weren't the smartest person in the world.
No.
You didn't make the best decisions in the world. And like I said, he's even admitted that he could have done that whole thing differently.
Absolutely. And he didn't. He could have. But then again, if he just like quietly leaves in the night, people bash him anyway. So
right,
I don't know. I don't think he could have won that either way.
Cleveland, leaving his home city behind, he was going to get flack again because your comparison to Jordan and the fact that Jordan never left Chicago. I mean, at the end he played in Washington, but it was irrelevant.
People forget, like Jordan did leave Chicago. He just landed in Chicago in a different sport. You know what I mean? Like he retired, was like, I'm done with this. This is stupid. I'm out. And he, like a baby, like walked away and then like came. And I know it wasn't like a baby scenario because his dad had, he had the whole situation with his dad. And he was going through a lot and maybe a change in my life. And nobody criticizes him for it because it was like a big moment in his life. And I think LeBron had a big moment in his life where he was young and he decided, you know what? I have a choice now. I can stay here and I can keep fighting for play. Or I can go try to build that career and then maybe come back someday. And he did just that. He came back. And I think the city of Cleveland forgave him. And if the city of Cleveland can forgive you for the decision, then no one else gets to criticize him. Only one city in the country has the right to be pissed at LeBron James for leaving Cleveland, and that's Cleveland. And if he came back to Cleveland and gave them the title they were looking for all those years, then screw everybody else. Go where you want. And I mean, to be honest, it's not like he went to the Lakers and built a Golden State Warriors team where it was like a million guys taking pay cuts to play there. He's got a center and then like a supporting cast that, they're real good. Are they as like people thought they might lose to the Clippers in the playoffs? Like people thought they might lose to the Nuggets.
They were going to win.
Like the whole way through. Like people thought maybe they get, and then I saw him get critiqued for being on the phone on public national television, like making a call, like, oh, Michael would have never been on that phone call. Like, Michael didn't play in a bubble away from his family, first of all. That's, like, the biggest thing, is that he's in a bubble trying to contact people he cares about. And it's a different world. It's a world that lives on social media, and it's a world that's connected by cell phones. So that's all I'm going to say. As you can tell, I'm pretty angry at all the LeBron haters. I think the fourth title gives him a lot more merit than they've had to argue against those people before. And do I think LeBron has a shot to win another one before he's done? Yeah, I think he has a chance to finish with 5 or 6 because I don't think he's anywhere near done. So, by the time it's all said and done, he's going to be in more finals than anyone in history or darn close, and he's going to have just as many rings as most of the people you would argue against Jordan and Kobe. So stop whining. Let the man have his rings. And LeBron, go enjoy yourself because I knew you weren't going to until I gave you permission. So go enjoy yourself. Have a good time.
Basically, to all the LeBron haters,
Shut the f*** up.
You said it, brother.
All right, let's close this thing out. Sean, let everybody know where they can follow you, or if you have anything else to add.
All right. Well, I'm here at my Twitter handle at Sean Shine State, SHAWN Shine State, and might want to send me some love on the Twitter this Sunday as we bring back an old favorite of mine. I haven't put it on the podcast yet. I used to be a big fan of the fantasy irrelevant touchdown of the week. Of course, our man Fulgham was a finalist, and you thought maybe it was a QB rushing touchdown. No, we had a Kyle Juszczyk rushing touchdown for the San Francisco 49ers this week. Fullback touchdown, always a prime candidate for the fantasy irrelevant touchdown of the week. And that was your winner this week. So stick around next week. We'll go over who my irrelevant touchdown of the week is. But listen to me. Keep enjoying sports, and Godspeed. Go LeBron.
Who the hell is this?
All right, Dave. Let people know where they can follow you. Anything else to add?
What the hell do we just listen to? I think LeBron's now my most hated athlete above Tom Brady after that rant.
That was the most we talked about basketball on 5 seasons in this show.
I don't understand what half of the stuff you were talking about was, but I'll just disagree with Sean and be done with it on that point. But just want to throw out there a little bit of underdog parlayage for the college football slate this week. We're going to go with the UTSA Texas San Antonio straight up over, and then we're going to go with UTEP as well. A little 6-1 dog dance in there for the followers there. We're at Huddle Up Dave on the Twitter, and we'll catch everyone after an Alabama blowout this coming weekend. You can lock it up again, big guy.
There you go. I'm not hitting it again. You can follow me at Big Jim Sports. make sure you're following the show at Huddle Up Podcast, Facebook, and on Twitter and on YouTube, and subscribe to our show and all of that stuff. If you go to any of our social media pages, you'll hit the link tree and get us there. And make sure you're following along with our home network, NGSC Sports, at ngscsports.com. And until next time, stay safe, stay smart, and go for the win. Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?